Is June the 25th. We're in Victoria Bryant State Park near Athens. The little closest town is Royston, Georgia. Just a review of, in case anybody wants to see paint dry. We started out and went to Veteran State Park in Cordele, which is where I shot this first video. We left there and went to a little private park in Perry called Fair Harbor RV park, and it was nice. But we left there and went to High Falls, which is near Jackson, Georgia. Stayed there a night. Went to Indian Springs, isn't this exciting, which is near Flowville, Georgia. Left there, went to Hard Labor Creek up near Rutledge, Georgia. Went to Stone Mountain and got to see Ansley and Brendan and have dinner with them. And left there yesterday and came to Victoria Bryant Park in Royston, Georgia. I didn't, if I shot these where we're parked, it'd just be more boring than it is, but that just brings you up to date. We're headed to Spartanburg today, and then we're headed back towards Savannah for a day or so. But this is probably the nicest park that we've been in. It's just, I mean, everything's lovely and level and all that stuff, well kept. A couple of questions on the other video. These are not called tip outs, that was my mistake. These are slide outs, and they're electric motor driven. And you just press a button inside and they let them out, and you do the same thing to let them back in. But there are two on this side. This is a 400 horsepower Cummins diesel pusher. A lot of these are gas operated, but everybody that has one just says they're underpowered. Now, if you're too sorry to go inside and watch television, here's one outside for you. And also, we have a little refrigerator freezer if you're too sorry to go inside to get you a beer. But here's the third tip out. Slide out. It's not a tip out, sorry. So I'm on, when we hook up the car, I'm going to do a little short shot on that just to let you see what's happening. Very interesting. A little demo of pulling these slides in and how they work. So go ahead. There's a button.
The lock arms are unlocking. Please be certain all persons, seats, chairs, and other obstacles are clear of the slide-out area. There will be a 5-second delay for any necessary adjustments.
5-second delay. We've pressed the button. The lock arms are unlocking. Here we go. Now this electric motor will drive this thing in here. One of my biggest fears is I'll go to punch that button and nothing will happen. But there is a procedure where you can manually crank it in. Now you can see it move. 14 feet long. This slide out, by the way, is 14 feet long. And the slide outs in the back, I just brought those in, a button for each one. And it takes about 30 seconds or something like that to bring it in. And once they're in, and I'll show you that in just a second, you can see the coming across the floor there. But it brings that whole 14-foot slide in to where it's even with the outside. Now once it gets in place, which is about right now, it'll drop a little bit. Alright, now there's the lock arm right there, and when it gets in place, those will come out and extend against the sidewall. Which keeps it from sliding out as you're riding down the road. So that's a demo from the inside of the big slide out in the living room. This is just a departure procedure for us. There's where the power is hooked up into the coach, and it comes from a power pole outside. You just plug it in into the 50 amp, and the same thing with the water. Not with 50 amp, but the water hooks up to this old-fashioned spigot right here. So we'll just cut those off, disconnect them. And also, I want to show you this right here. That's a leveling jack. There are 4 of these on the bus, on the motorhome, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. And before we leave, we'll raise those up. But that levels the motorhome automatically when you park it, so you can, be level. Good deal. We just cranked up. Jenny does about half the driving on this thing. I know I probably scare her, but when she's driving, I feel like I'm in the dentist chair. But she does good. We're raising the jacks right now, and that horn's going off just to make sure it warns you that you don't want to try to drive off with those jacks down. That would be real bad. But they'll come up automatically in a second. We'll check them, and then we'll hook the car up. I have to reposition the bus, the motorhome, a little bit to hook the car up, because we got that tree in the way right there. But we'll just move it a little bit and then hook the car up. We've got an easy exit out of here. By the way, the generator on this thing sits right up there on the very front, under the two chairs up front. You got the little car hooked up, and it's you got to make sure everything's in place and the lights are on and the little tow bar is locked in place. But this is one of the few cars. That's a Honda CR-V. It's one of the few cars that you can what they call flat tow, and she's got total control. And it pulls me. There's a little procedure you have to go through, and it's got a tow bar back here where it's all hooked up. But if you don't go through that procedure, it'll ruin your transmission. But so we go through it very carefully and make sure that everything's ready to go, and it pulls like a bandit, follows it like a puppy. June the 28th, we're in Santee, South Carolina, headed towards Savannah. This Lake Marion on the Santee Cooper Rivers. There we are, docked up. I know this is boring. I almost got a shot of Jenny. She was out there, but she hid when she saw me. I forgot to mention the other day, when we were coming through middle Georgia, we went through Eatonton and saw Dudley Horton and his lovely great wife Helen Ruth and their son Rob. And I used to work for Horton years ago, and he was kind of my mentor, or is, and I think the world of him. He owns the largest independent mobile home manufacturing company in the world. I think that's a fact, but if you ever need a great mobile home or 50 of them, give him a call. But we're going to leave here in a little while and go to Savannah for a couple days and head out from there and go up the coast. I believe that's our plan. But anyway, speaking of forgetting, there's another little tidbit I forgot. We left yesterday from Spartanburg, where we saw Jenny's sister Sissy and her husband Dan O'Connell, Dan and Sissy O'Connell. We spent a couple nights there, and it was in a Croft, C-R-O-F-T, state park in South Carolina. And it was down in the woods, I'm telling you. But it used to be an Army training facility right out of Spartanburg, and a POW facility. So anyway, we're getting ready to leave here. I just documenting our little trail. But the Georgia state parks are a little bit better in my opinion than the South Carolina state parks, but they're all nice. It is July the 7th. There we are, parked in a rest area. We had to zip down to Savannah for a doctor's appointment, a little business. Everything's lovely. We're in a rest area in South Carolina, headed to the Outer Banks. Tonight we're going to Santee and spend the night there, and then a couple nights to work across to the coast, just kind of slime along. If you're driving along and see a big slime trail in this area, it's probably us, but the adventure continues. Yikes. It's July the 9th. We're leaving Santee State Park up on Lake Marion, headed to the Outer Banks up around Beaufort and up in North Carolina for a few days. This is a little bit different than the boat, of course. We see, driving this morning. It's about 4 or 5 miles out of here to the interstate, but I'm wrapping this video up, send it out, see what happens. This is a little bit, I felt a little bit safer in the boat, and not because of the motorhome or anything. Well, traffic and just things to do and driving and roads and so forth, but you didn't have near the outside influences on the boat that you have on this, but it's still great. So I'm going to send this video out and see what happens. A little cheater here. We're crossing Lake Marion on 95 right now. Big lake, very popular. Anyway, this is the end of the video right here.